Hey, so one of the cool things that I've got to have happen this week is that a buddy of mine brought a Stihl 090 into the shop that he needed me to get running again. And unbelievably, within the last couple weeks, I've had a McCulloch Super Pro 125 come in and an 090 come in, so that's pretty cool. You know, that you're just sitting here minding your own business and these things are coming in and you get to see them and get to play around with them a little bit. So I just figured I'd take the opportunity of having that 90 here to share it with you guys. Hey, look, another big dumb thing on the bench that's of low practicality. This here's a Stihl 090. A gentleman that's he started out as a local customer and then kind of ended up as my furnace guy. And then now he's kind of ended up as a friend. He's been playing around with saws a little bit. He recently got a MS-880 ported by Dino Joe or HWMF. He does a little bit of milling and just cutting the firewood. He just kind of gets some enjoyment out of it. Well, the other day he calls me and says, "Hey, I got something I want to show you. I'm going to bring it down to you." So he shows up and here it is. So inside the course of about a week or 10 days, a Stihl 090 shows up in my shop and a Mac Super Pro 125. So it just gives you an idea of how not rare these saws are. Like these bigger saws. I mean, they definitely had some use out there, and there was definitely a bunch of them sold years ago. But, they're not particularly rare if you keep your eyes out, for one. So this one, I have it kind of like in a state of taking it apart because I had to do a couple things to it. Needed a new starter spring, need carburetor clean and rebuild, need fuel lines and stuff. So I had it all took apart, waiting on some parts and after inspecting some things. But I kind of just slapped it back together here real quick and we could take a look at it. I got to tell you, I'm kind of like Mr. Not So Much Steel, but man, these ones from this time are pretty sweet. That little 08S kind of got me started. And this thing is like, it had to be the same team engineering it. It's super simple. Everything on it is built pretty well. And it's really easy to get the hang of as far as, the mechanical end of things. This one's got a full wrap on it. I don't know. I can't tell you if it's OEM. I'm not really an expert on these ones. It looks like it's been brazed and fooled around with. So I can't tell you 100%. Now, I'll tell you from what I've learned, a little bit of reading about these is there's the 090 and the 090G, and then of course the 070 that are all part of the same family. Now, believe it or not, the 090G and the 070 actually have the same displacement, which is 106, 107 cc's. I think it's a 58 millimeter bore cylinder. And then the 090 actually has a 66 millimeter bore, which is a significant difference. I think it's 137 cc's. So the 090G actually is a smaller motor, but it's got the gear reduction. And they also made an AV version of these. I don't know a whole lot about those. I've never seen one. I've seen a couple of these 090s around over the years. I don't know if I've ever seen an 070, but this thing kind of inspired me. I ended up buying one of those Chinese kit saws. I want to put it together for this. Totally useless for my application, but just something cool to fool around with, and it's cheap enough that it makes sense for a toy or just like a rainy day project or a slow day project here. So anyways, we'll go over this saw a little bit. We'll look at and then another the two main differences between the 070 and the 090, just to give you an idea, is the 66 millimeter bore cylinder. And then the 070 has a 3-shoe clutch. The 090 has a 6-shoe clutch. And there's a significant difference in the diameter of the two. I don't have the 70 clutch here right now, but this has a legit 6-shoe clutch on it. But I think other than that, most everything's the same on the saws. So we'll take the clutch cover off here. Oh, by the way, to the guy that kept telling me about the beeping of the smoke detectors, I replaced them all last week. I had ordered them, and believe it or not, they were the ones that you're not supposed to be able to replace the batteries, and they have like a little lithium battery with the wires on it and stuff. Would you believe them son of a bitches are supposed to be a fucking 10-year thing, and they usually start beeping about a year before they're shot. Well, that's those things. I put them up in 2020 whenever we bought the place, so they were only 2 years old. So Sentry smoke alarms, the 10-year thing is total bullshit. All right, so anyways, got a nice heavy-duty clutch cover, and then here's that big 6-shoe clutch. And like I said, I don't have the 70 clutch to compare, but I think the 70 clutch is significantly smaller in diameter. This is your oil tank. I believe your oil pump is inside here. There's a few screws if you want to access it. I guess that's how you service it. And then it's also an automatic pump with a manual override. Couple of big bar plates on there. And then this has like an enormous spike on it. I don't know if that's factory. I don't know if somebody made it. It kind of looks like one of those big ones that you see on the Max. And then this has a big heavy-duty cast aluminum muffler on it. And it's real simple to remove. You just take out these two, and then there's just that one holding it on, and then the whole works comes off. So if you ever got to service that or whatever. But the chances of ever having to like service that muffler or something going bad is almost next to nothing because it's so heavy duty. It's just kind of built to last. I think they're still using these things like down in South America and in Africa and in developing countries where they're doing a lot of like jungle forestry work and stuff. I think that these are kind of the standard. Imagine down there, I mean, sometimes you're out 100, 150 miles from like anywhere, and I'm talking any service at all on, terrible unimproved roads or whatever. So you got to have something that's easy to work on, something that's durable, and something that you have parts for. So I think that these are still popular down there because of the durability, the power, and just how they already have the parts for them. This one has, and I don't know if over the years, because this looks like an earlier one based on the logo and everything on it. And then it also, I think these are like one of the, made in West Germany ones. This has the Fairbanks Morse style starter on it. I don't know if they changed it over the years, so if anybody's got a clue about that, you could chime in. But I have to look at and see, because like on that, when I get that kit saw in, if it's a Fairbanks Morse, well then you'll know. And the Fairbanks Morse is just the kind that has these little pawls in here that grab that cup. And we talked about it on the 08S video. And these were really a common starter for like all the older saws back in the day. But you see, as you pull on it, it creates that friction and those pawls come out and then they engage the cup that's on the flywheel. This one looks like it has a metal cup on it. I don't know if they changed those over the years. And then here's your governor too. And I don't know if guys take those, disconnect those or what. Easy to get under the air filter cover here, just a knob. And then here's your air filter here. And then I have the carburetor off the thing because, I'm waiting on a repair kit for it. I thought I had some more of those Tillotson HL kits in stock here. And I simply run out, so I got to wait on one, which stinks. But it's just got two little bolts or two little nuts that hold the carburetor on. And then this top cover, it's just got these three in it. And then this here is actually your decompression valve. It presses on this. So a lot of guys, I think it's kind of a, if you're thinking about it like the old school way, where like you're holding onto the handle to start the saw, this one here you can hold on top of it and push down. Otherwise you're going to fight it kind of. It's a little clumsy to try it that way. But if you got the thing dialed in, it's going to start up quick anyways. Because this isn't a pop-it type. You can't it's not like you push it in and it stays in till the engine pops. You got to hold it down in order for that to be engaged. And then that's it. I mean, you got your little intake block here, and then the carburetor sits here, and then your throttle control, and then your governor hooks up to the carburetor, and it actually manipulates the choke plate, the choke butterfly in there. Kill switch here, manual oil or override. And then, yeah, hopefully I'm getting the shot here. And then you fill up your oil tank, and then this has like that 041 style kind of fuel line. This one, when I got it, everything was just cracked and destroyed. I just have it sitting here like this for now. But I'm waiting on the new one to come in so I can put it on there for Paul. But it just got this little boot that sits in there, and it's got the fuel line dangling off of it, and then this little guy fits right in there. And then actually the fuel line is always routed, and I'm not quite sure what the methodology is, but the fuel line's routed out around this bracket here, and then it mounts up to the carburetor. Like I said, the carburetor's a Tillotson HL. That's one of the really early mass-produced, not universal type, but one of the ones that Tillotson started making, diaphragm-style carbs. For a lot of the earlier saws, they're a simple carb, and they're really great. They're very little problems, very little things wear out on them, and they're just like a good, durable, reliable carb. They're monstrous in comparison to like the cube style carburetors that they have now. But this one we ran through the ultrasonic cleaner. It looks pretty nice. And this is the HL244A. But a lot of the American saws were using them at the time, and I think they still manufacture these. But it's a nice chunky simple style or simple diaphragm carburetor, and a lot of the McCullochs used them. A lot of the home lights. I mean, this was just the standard fare for the day before they started switching to the cube style. And this one is kind of I have it pretty much all the way disassembled. But we're just waiting on the kit for that. And then that's really it. That's all I really got to talk about. But with this saw, I haven't really gotten to run it yet because it was missing the spark plug boot. It was missing a number of things that were going on with it, and we're just kind of getting it back up to running condition here. And I think he said he's going to use it to mill with, or at least try to use it to mill with and see what happens. And yeah, that's it. You know what we'll do though? I'm gonna like kind of button this thing back up, and then I'll show you a couple. I'll make like a little video of it side by side with a smaller saw. Hopefully something common so we can get an idea of the scale of things. And then I also have some aftermarket 66 millimeter cylinders for these. So what we could do is I could give you a comparison of the overall scope and size of the cylinder, because 66 millimeter is just, yeah, it's big for a chainsaw. You don't see a lot of those. I think even like the 3120s now, because it must have a little bit longer stroke. The 3120 is only like 60 millimeter, and I think it's the same thing for like the 880, 881. So another 6 millimeters beyond that is pretty significant. So I'm gonna pause this just for a minute, and I'm gonna get this all buttoned back up, and then we'll get some things together here, and we can do a little comparison in size. There you go. So this was an easy one to grab, just like a McCulloch 1010 I had sitting on the shelf over there. And of course, this saw has just maybe a little over a third, the displacement of this 90. But I mean, you could tell what a difference in size they are. So that'd just give you an idea of how big this thing actually is. If you've ever seen a 1010, I feel like most guys have in person. That'd just kind of give you a good idea of the difference in size. I think these run maybe like 13, 14 pounds or something like that. I think these are, oh God, these got to be just dry. I mean, they got to be mid-20s, yeah, at least mid-20s. I mean, a significant difference, but also a significant difference in displacement. It's not really a fair comparison to say, oh, well, this one's this one's that. It's just to give you an idea of the size and scope of them. And then I'm going to go grab that. I'm going to set these off to the side, and then I'm going to grab that cylinder just to give you an idea too. So here we go. I brought over some cylinders just to give you an idea. So this is, I think it's like a 44 or 046 cylinder, a little cheapy aftermarket one. And then here's a 395 cylinder, same thing, aftermarket with the piston. And we'll do it like that. One of our pistons there. And then here's the 060 or the 090 66 millimeter, where it doesn't really look that much bigger than the 395, but look at that piston. Okay. Look at the size of the piston. There we go. Significantly different. And then we could look at the cylinder bore here. So this is a 395. I think they're what, 56 millimeter, and then below is at the 090, which is 66 millimeter. So that's significant. And as you go up, you know, you create more and more mass as you go up, more and more volume as you go up. But that's, yeah, beyond me. But it's a hell of a big saw. And like I said, I don't think that there's anything that has a bigger bore out there in the market, at least in modern times. If anybody knows of something bigger, let me know. You could drop a comment down there. But yeah, that's really it there. I just kind of wanted to give you a little scope of the saw. Oh yeah. And then another thing that's nice for durability on these. Let me get here. See how they got the holes drilled here for lubrication of the wrist pin? That's pretty neat. You don't see that a lot of times on saws. So these things are just built chunky. They're built to last, and they're built to be durable in rough conditions, you know. And I think that's they've been proven for that time and time again. So they might not be the lightest or the lowest vibration, but I mean, they're damn powerful. I know that because I was watching some of Joe's videos. He had one of those that was ported, I think, and he did the dyno run with it. And I mean, that thing put out more power than just about anything else out there. So thanks for sharing the time with me. I got to tell you, I love seeing these things come into the shop, and I love when something changes my mind. You know, I'm victim of having my preconceived notions about stuff like, oh, look at that, you know, look at that saw, it's an old piece of shit, or old pig or whatever. And then it comes in and you get to put your hands on it, and it changes your attitude about it, and you get to learn about it, and it's really interesting. And my favorite thing is taking one like that's kind of in a state of disrepair, and doing a couple little simple repair things to it, and getting it going again. Because that's mostly what saws need, unless they got a lot of physical damage. A lot of them only really need, especially something like that, because it's such a simple machine, very little parts that can go wrong. They only really need simple stuff a lot of times. So the older saws might need points and condenser, or just the points dressed, or the condenser changed, or like if you want to swap it out for a chip. And carburetor work. I mean, there's not a whole lot else that could go wrong with them, other than like leaking seals and things of that nature, which you have to kind of assess. You have to assess the subject matter at hand whenever you've got it there. And you know, if certain ones are like known for specific failure modes, just like how I talked about in some of my previous videos, like the Husky 55s, you kind of know chances of the seals going bad are kind of low if you got an air leak, but the chances of the intake plate and the intake impulse line being fucked up are probably pretty high. You just know, you just know that that's it. So, yeah, that's really all I got today about that. And yeah, thanks for sitting down and watching me, play around here and kind of look at that saw and learn a little bit today. So that's it. Thanks. Can't believe I passed up the opportunity to create some chainsaw porn. There you go. A couple of kings of the woods. If you had these two brand new, you could probably get something done if you were out in the woods one day.